Okay, we'll call our Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order.
I made it.
We have one department left on deck. Social Services, DSS. Mike, ladies, gentlemen, welcome. What we've been doing is pretty simple. Matt had given opening in our first meeting that, you know, we got a $5 million gap to fill somewhere. He thinks the first 4 will be easy. It's the last $1 million that'll be hard. And I don't want to speak for him. He'll be here in a little bit. But what we're looking at is really, you don't have to go line by line with this. We're looking at the major differences, whether it be increases or decreases, and give us maybe some reason what's driving those increases or decreases and what we have to look forward to.
Sure, so I'll do that. I've got, just to introduce the team here, I think everybody knows the team, but just in case you know, Michelle Russo is the new Director of Finance. And then Commissioner Tina Sweet is contracted to us. She's the new Commissioner for Schoharie County. And her budget's due Friday, so she's going to help us next Friday. But Tina's been contracted to help train Michelle and guide us through the budget, so it's been very good. Yeah, we look at the budget as a strategy. Of course, the social services budget, as you all know, is we're forecasting out next year what's going to happen, how many kids are going to be taken to care, how many folks will go to nursing homes, how many folks will apply for SNAP and all our benefits, and we really don't know that number. So we use trending to the best that we can. We did last year, and we look at what's coming down the pipe, some things we might know. Unemployment still is up in this county. It's between 6 and 7%. Even though the Department of Labor numbers are up till June, usually in the summer it goes up. That's the trend in Montgomery County. Unemployment does go up. So we're still between 6 and 7. That's considerable. To the fact that SNAP, or former food stamps, have waived the rights for people to be on able-bodied adults without disabilities are waived for any kind of work requirements. We're a waived county, 1 of 7, and that just gives you an idea of, they waive that because there's no job opportunity, basically. And that could change next year. We may end up becoming a non-waived county, and those folks that are receiving SNAP fall in that category. Will have to, do some work requirements. So that's the local economy. Our foster care caseload is dramatically up. Just case in point, yesterday we took in 90 kids. We went from 77 to 87. It's a lot of it has to do with the opiate crisis, which is nationwide, particularly in the Northeast. But that's really driving the boat, and that's some of the numbers you see there for foster care is directly to that.
I was going to say, how's the PINS cases? Have they gone up?
No, the PINS JD caseload, which is a juvenile delinquent, they have not gone up. They're pretty much stable. We run about, I think the last I counted, we had maybe 10 from that population. These are all abuse neglect cases. Right. The majority of them are in. It just tough. A lot of, we have worked very diligently in finding relative placements. We have a lot of kids who are through an Article 10 abuse neglect petition, but instead of being in foster care, we're retained. They are in relatives' home. We just thought we were doing a good job. 3 went to a relative last week, 4 went back home to a mother, but unfortunately, we did a removal at 4 o'clock in the morning the other night. We had an abused baby, 2 babies in all of them right now.
Special needs. Yeah. So this is a very expensive line, The other thing is that we're talking about money that goes with placement and stuff like that, but we also need to look at that the caseworkers are getting a heavier caseload at the same time. So it's putting more time and more responsibility on them to manage this caseload. And we're not asking for any new positions, so but we just need to say that their work is increasing as this happens. There's also this is an assumption. Both of these, the foster care caseload is going to continue as the opioid crisis continues, as is the rising homelessness. We saw last year the governor put in Executive Order 151 in January, which required us across the state to get everybody who was homeless off the street. regardless if they were ever in our caseload, were going to be in our caseload, they would have to do that. So we did ask for some extra money for that. But once again, that's going to be another thing that we're going to have to crack this year again, is managing the homeless population in our county. And then I assume that our guardianships will go up. We have an aging population. We know there's cases out there. This is when we bring somebody in, they fall under the guardianship under me, and we take care of their person and their property. These can be very complex cases where we have to sell their house or manage their property, manage, stuff. It's very expensive. We only have a few of those now, but there's always a few of them looming out there, and you don't know how much you're going to have to invest in those. A couple of things that just need to be noted is that Bond Review Group came in last year and did an assessment of all our programs. They presented it to you, I think, one night. As a result of that audit, or that assist, we redesigned many of our units. The fraud unit was redesigned for efficiency and for stability. We redesigned the 4E, which is a reimbursement from the federal government for foster care. We created a team, which includes a full-time lawyer, and also long-term care, which is the nursing care, which is near and dear to us in Montgomery County because there are so many elderly people who are, we try to keep them in their homes. But when they do have to go to nursing homes, we do that. And we have, I don't know the numbers, probably around 350, 400, thereabouts, about the number. But we redesigned that unit too, so it's a little more responsive to the client and to the families that do this stuff.
Mike, a question about that. With regards to the elderly in the nursing homes, when a elderly person ends up having to go and there's no more money, property, or whatever, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but that's what it falls back onto, right? That's where the county ends up picking up that.
Yes.
So if a person has a little longevity left and they enter a nursing home and they end up in there 5 years, I never understood this till a few years back, that a good portion of the money that's spent in this county ends up being that nursing home care, doesn't it? I mean,
Well, it's Medicaid money at that point.
Yeah.
but I'm saying what was that, like, what was millions?
Yeah.
It's
Like-
capped at 12 minutes.
I was gonna say it was 12 out of 13 or something, 12 out of, so when a lot of people talk about all these people that are on Medicaid and all these, people that are, it's the elderly that's driving, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying they don't realize, they think it's something other than that. I'll
Right.
leave it at that.
That's a big caseload, and it's a good point to bring up because the state has assumed administration of Medicaid, except for the long-term care. They've left that with the counties because they are so complex, and they require a little bit more of a customer service, if you will, to make sure they go right. And these nursing homes are local businesses too, so to centralize that at the state didn't make sense at this point. Now, will it happen down the road? Perhaps, but I think the state wants to contract or stay with the county for that process. But community Medicaid, that's all, the state has pretty much assumed all that. They have to assume it all by 2018, but right now, we've seen it pretty much.
But even so, that's a drop in the bucket, isn't it, compared to the elderly?
That's a couple other things. Our caseworker turnover is still very high. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But that does put a strain on other caseworkers. They have to assume if a caseworker leaves, everybody knows it's her caseload, their caseload is going to have to go to somebody else. But also there's a training curve there too. We get a new caseworker and it takes up to 6 months to get them trained before they can actually get the case. So that is a concern for us. And then unfunded mandates, which we all talk about. In the caseworker world, they're asked to do assess for human trafficking now. They're asked to go back and look at old case files. They're asked to do more documentation than they had before. Once again, you have 30, 40 cases, and you have to do an extra hour here on each case. You can do the math, and they're not getting any extra money for it. But it is a requirement they have to do it. So that's my opening statement. I think the big items you see are safety net and foster care. I've met with Matt, we just met with Matt today. We still have some work to do on the revenues. Those numbers will change. As a matter of fact, one of the big ones is Medicaid. is that we won't get the letter for the Medicaid cap until probably later this week or next week. We're looking, the revenues are going to change there for the better. So I do think we're going to be able to help Matt and help you get some of those revenue lines closer, or raised up, and even the expense line can come down. So it's early on, and we don't have all the numbers that we need. So I'll leave it up to questions that we have. I've got Tina and Michelle here for the details.
Chairman?
I'm sure someone can explain it. Can you explain to me the reimbursement and how it's shown in the budget? Meaning that, let's say you have $4,317,000 worth of social service administration, but how much is that reimbursable from the state? Is that on shows in your revenue?
The 3610, the 4610 are the administrative, 3610 is state revenue, 4610 is federal revenues. There is a bunch of things that go into that. There's the Child Care Block Grant, the
Right.
Flex Fund, it's a mammoth spreadsheet that we
Right.
do, and Michelle and I have been working on that. But there's a lot of unknowns. The Foster Care Block Grant allocation for next year is not out. There's a lot of unknowns to that number. We do the best we can because it's so early in the year.
Right, so do we have a number of what the county's share of the cost is for the year?
It depends on what program they're in. There is that spreadsheet that I go down by F code, the different programs. They don't have that, they got that last year. No.
Yeah, I was just,
The background.
I guess I would like to see what the total budget is, and then what the reimbursement is, and then what's our cost.
There is a spreadsheet for line by line by employee,
Okay,
what the state share, federal share, and local share is by employee. And that's been part of my packet.
Have you updated that for this year?
It is.
Okay.
If you want to
All right,
email-
that breaks it down very
Sure.
nicely.
If you want to email it to me, I'll send it.
Okay.
I'm curious on,
It was.
No,
What
I
the
think it's great.
breakdown-
I think it's a really
yeah.
good tool for you to see, how the money comes in.
Mike, I noticed, did somebody else have their hand up? Throughout the employee salaries, I noticed in a few areas where the salaries are actually decreased a couple $1,000s. Is that because somebody left and that's, now you have a new person coming in, so there's no longevity, there's no... All right, that answered that question. And then I also noticed you had a position of, it looks like a new position, is it receptionist? It's the 6010 line.
1615, 615, I believe it was.
Yes,
That's
it changed, it was reclassified.
615.
It reclassified from line 445.
Is that the one we,
We switched from a clerk typist to a...
that's what we did earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just didn't want anybody to think that that was a new,
Yeah.
something new being added. That's what we did when we did the switcheroo back a couple months ago. Okay.
hey, just one more question I have. The overtime line went up. Is there a reason for that?
I think when you're down so many positions, we've been down, at certain times this year, we've been down 15 positions. Right now, we're down 7. That we siphon off them to keep the operation going, basically.
So it ends up being a crapshoot on that.
Yeah. You have to, we're mandated to get out. You know.
They're basically leaving for the state for better work or pay?
Yeah, that, people are, leaving to start families. We've had some go out in medical. But yeah, I think they're looking, I mean, geographically, we're not in the best place because, especially with Medicaid, they hired 1,000 workers in Albany. And I think employees think, hey, if I can make an extra $7,000, $10,000, is it worth it for me to drive to Albany? Sometimes it is. And
Yeah.
I think that's, I mean, we lost a lot of employees to state Medicaid. And to the
Justice
registry and to the Fire Justice Center. Because we're close enough to where they can make that decision.
Sure. Sure.
Somebody in Chicago County is not gonna take a job, you know?
Right.
But in Montgomery, Schoharie,
It's worth the
Rensselaer,
drive,
Rensselaer
yeah.
got to that. They lost 40 people to the thing.
I think if I can also speak to the overtime a little bit is, for example, last night, we left, closed here at 4 o'clock. The caseworker received 6 new CPS reports last night. And, you know, a couple of them you end up going out on to assess. You can't wait until today.
Isn't that true that when a case like that comes in, there's certain parameters you have to follow? It's like you can just say, I'll wait till tomorrow.
Exactly.
You
I mean, we
have
to-
parameters you have to.
We get the report, we have to go in, we have to accept it, we have to call the source. And then there's communication between supervision and can it wait until the morning to go out, or do they need to go out last night, depending on what the allegations are. And we're seeing a huge increase in the number of reports, and we gotta go.
Joe had a question, and I think Barb had her hand up.
Just had one question about Mark Tenzer. He is one of your investigators now. Is that what he does?
Yeah.
Is
He's a part-time.
Is it only a part-time employee?
At this point.
Okay, and he's the only one that we have right now?
No, we have
3
3 contractors. And we're hiring for a full-time fraud coordinator, which was a recommendation from Bonadio, in that we have a stable individual or position versus having all contractors. For the fact that all the contractors would get up and leave you one day and you'd be stuck. You wouldn't have any knowledge transfer. You know, and so that's where we're at now. We have not hired that position, but we're in the process of doing that.
You said it was relatively busy. Has his workload gone up?
Definitely, yeah.
Has it gone up?
They stay busy.
Barb?
Pass.
Okay. I mean, the other numbers are what they are.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably my question was probably more detailed, but, I mean, some of the social service programs, they're up considerable. I understand, I knew that the foster care was gonna be up, the safety net is up. But these are just, guesses, and if we're gonna, cut them, I mean, this is the,
Are you going to be coming to us to balance out? Yeah.
Mike, it's kind of, I guess it's budget related, but I think for information purposes, I told you the night I called you up, I had a phone call from somebody that I never ended up finding out or getting back to. And it was about how we take our vehicles out and the complaint that I had. Share that, would you?
Sure.
And tell this group what we actually do now.
Well, we have a calendar, and we don't force everybody to take a vehicle, but we certainly encourage it. And those vehicles are out every day. I think Robin runs the calendar, but you know, somebody will see the vehicles all in the parking lot, and they'll wonder what's going on with, how come the county has this many vehicles. Well, it's after 4 o'clock. They're probably parked there, you know. But they do get used. We average somewhere around 40,000 miles per vehicle per year.
The complaint was that they were racking up this mileage reimbursement, which does happen, but you have a policy now that says if there's something available, you have to take.
Pretty much, and you know, you can enforce it only to a degree, because you don't have a vehicle for every caseworker. So, you know, there has to be a give and take. Now, they're going to end in the field in Amsterdam, then it makes sense for them to take their own vehicle. You know, so there's certain times. Now, they're transporting clients, they're going to be in a van. They're going to training, or they're putting them all in a van. So they get used. I mean, you look at the mileage in each one of those vans, they're getting used. About every 3 years, they're around 100,000, we have to replace them. And I think we have a few that we need to, but we're not doing that. I don't think we're doing that this year. Or she's giving me the eye, maybe. Not 16.
We have been monitoring mileage since I started here. The mileage was up over $95,000 a year for mileage reimbursement for our employees before I started in 2011. We established the calendar in 2011. We had more enforcement. Broward came on, we got even more enforcement of using the cars. I was doing monthly reports to Robin to make sure that those vehicles have been used. I think our mileage is down under 50,000 now a year, so that's
Let's
a
cut it in half.
$45,000 savings from where we were in 2011.
We also
So we
changed,
are working on it.
we changed the fleet too, instead of having all vans, which when I first came there, we had all these 8-passenger vans. And a lot of our employees aren't comfortable driving those things. It's like driving a school bus. You know, they're big. We want the smaller cars. They're more efficient in fuel.
Right.
And they like driving because it's more attuned to what they drive to work every day.
And if there is some sort of well, no, even if you have one, you gotta use the van? Say you had a
If it's
transport.
available. I
Yeah.
mean, today we had a situation, they're kind of moving vehicles around and, okay, who's got to go the farthest? We had to take them on top and met to see.
But you're allowed to do that in a car? You don't have to
Yeah.
have a van to
No,
do
no,
that?
no. But
So, it's more efficient for us if we're taking one person in a car rather than in a
Sure.
van.
We have a good mixture. I mean,
Yeah.
we bought a four-wheel drive, we bought an Explorer 2 years ago, because we put caseworkers on the road all year round, so there's a storm, somebody's got to go out, they're better off being an all-wheel drive. So, looking at safety, safety is very important to us. So they get used.
We established a 6-year vehicle replacement plan back when we were doing the capital project plan back 2 years ago when that came aboard. They are high mileage. Our vans do have lots of high mileage. There is a spreadsheet that shows they're 140, 150,000 miles on a couple of our vans. And we had the 6-year plan and we're looking into that plan to replace those vans that didn't get replaced. We have 97, 98-year vans that were still in, that need to go. They're nickel and diamonds at the DM.
I have nothing else. Anyone? Thank you very much.
Thank you.